What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso. Trade deadline emergency. What the hell podcast? The New York Jets have traded Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. I couldn't wait till we recorded tonight with Connor and Dan Hansis. We had to get something live sooner. Will jumped in the booth. What is your initial reaction? Because I haven't even collected my thoughts yet. I'm literally absolutely goddamn shocked that this happened. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, me too. I thought going into today it'd be an outside shot, but Q could be the one that's like, whoa, big, huge name, former All Pro. I said yesterday, I think on Jake Asman's show, I was like, if Jermaine got traded, I'm not expecting it, but I wouldn't be like totally floored. Just some injuries around the league, and hey, do they really value him? He's not their guy coming off the Achilles. Could they get a 2? And I'm sitting there like, wow, the Jets are going to stack up maybe 1 or 2 picks on day 2 and day 3. And then I look at my phone to some text messages, and then like 30 seconds later, I get the Ian Rappaport Sauce to the Colts. And it was just no context, nothing. And I'm like,
and then you texted our group chat with no context, nothing, just Sauce and question marks. I was like, is Will Trump? What's going on?
What the fuck? Look, I guess my initial reaction, I've kind of gone back and forth over the last hour or whatever it even is at this point. I get why they did it, because I think it's really hard for a regime that's 1-7 here. Sauce has been really good this year, but the only game they win classic, it was at Adams. So maybe you talk yourself into that. But more importantly, I think they're like, we need draft picks and we need, as much capital as we can to go up and get a quarterback or to build around the quarterback, and all that stuff makes sense. And 2 1s for Sauce. Look, we can talk about A.D. Mitchell later. Have some realistic expectations for both Mitchell and Mechie, both big program guys the Jets have gotten, and they need receivers. Both guys have objectively kind of stunk in the NFL so far. They're young. Maybe they're better with the Jets, and we can talk about that. That's a throw-in. Like, let's not – we'll focus on the 2 1s this year and next year. They traded a franchise icon, Joe, or a franchise player, whatever you want to call him, who they just paid – like
10 days ago, I was doing an emergency podcast about his new contract.
Luckily, they paid a huge bonus.
Yeah.
Woody paid a bunch of cash, and now the Jets won't be totally screwed. It's $8 million this year and about $11 million next year of dead money. So it's not horrible. Again, it's 2 first-round picks for a corner that doesn't take the football away, right? If you want to be very glass half full, that's what you would say. And hey, he's gotten banged up with some concussions, and there's a world you can talk yourself into like, oh, this is a great deal. I just think it's shocking, I would say, we're not shopping them. And they get the Jamal Adams package, frankly, a better package for Sauce, who was a better player than Jamal. But, I don't know. This is really ballsy from Muji and Glenn and company. And Woody, to be honest, as well. I'm very curious, and I know this is not going to – people give a shit about Woody's money, and I'm not saying to. I'm very curious what Woody's thoughts really were, because he was a Sauce guy. We know that. We saw right after the draft. He just paid him a lot of money and gave him a big bonus check. I'm just curious the conversation between Glenn probably and Muji and Woody saying, hey, we're going to trade Sauce here. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that room.
I think ballsy was the right adjective you used there, right? I'll say this for this regime. They are not tiptoeing around. They are not going status quo. This is a total massive shakeup move that shows Woody Johnson, for better or worse, trusts Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji because of everything that you just said. This is a move that turns.
I want to correct one thing I said before you go. The bonus the Jets paid, they gave him a $13.75 million signing bonus this past summer. The Colts will then owe an additional bonus in 26 and 27. So if you were to trade Sauce, it does seem like the Jets in the contract put it in that this would be the only time really to do it before, you start paying out massive bonuses and the big cap. All right, I just want to make sure to give context there.
Yeah, well, that gave them the window to, I guess, assess, even after paying him, if this fit with this regime and this style of football they want to play. And this is the kind of move that turns everybody's head in the building, everyone's head in the locker room. Nobody is safe. Nothing is entitled. Nothing is just given to someone because they were paid and because of their reputation. We talked a lot about accountability, and we're seeing different signs of this. I don't know if this goes exactly in that bucket. Sauce has been pretty damn good this year. Not perfect. He's had a couple frustrating moments. He hasn't turned the football over. He's gotten banged up again for the second year in a row, which I do think is mildly meaningful here, especially as he's gotten involved tackling more. He's just having a hard time staying consistently healthy. And I think the Jets look and they like Brandon Stevens a lot, and they look smarter than we do so far because he's playing around his contract value. They love Azareye'h Thomas. We all like that pick, and he looks like he belongs pretty quickly. It's limited sample size. We know they got the nickel they wanted in Brownlee. And I'm assuming they said internally, like, look, we could win with these three corners, and we're not going to have enough ammo to do what we need to do elsewhere around the roster next year, particularly at quarterback. And we need to give ourselves as much ammunition as possible to move up if we end up winning a few games here. Or even if we don't, we need a number 2 receiver. We need other reinforcements for the rest of this roster. So I'm surprised at how much they got back. I guess if I take a further step back, it's not that shocking. Sauce is young. He's an all-pro. That contract, I think, will age relatively well. I just think we've been worried about their draft capital and their resources. That is not something you have to panic about now. I know the Colts are good right now. This isn't the prime Chiefs, Andy Reid, Mahomes, where I think they're going to be a 1 seed every year going forward. I would not be shocked if, even though they're 7-2 now, maybe they finish 10-7 or 11-6. And I don't know if they're a Super Bowl favorite per se, maybe. And I don't know how that translates to next year with Daniel Jones. So we'll see where these picks land. But the reality is just having doubled up on first-round picks for 2 years in a row and getting the receiver throw in. You put him, Arian Smith, and Mechie in a room and say, one of you guys come out and be competent for God's sake. And we go get, we'll go build around you. It's this regime doing everything they can to try to really make their mark. And we talked, usually when there's new guys come in town, they do some type of move that says old days are over, right? And we thought maybe that would be Brees. Maybe that would be Quinnen. Sauce is a great football player, man. I was happy when they paid him. I do think myself is even guilty of nitpicking on him too much. He is very much an embodiment of the Saleh era, right? There's a little mopiness there. There's a little online complaining whenever criticism comes. There's mounting frustration with all the losses. He seemed to kind of go into a funk when Saleh got fired. I'm not saying that we know or not whether this was the right move. It's too early to say. I will say, considering where the Jets are in this regime's trajectory, 8 games in, knowing they have nothing at quarterback for real long term, you hope Fields could be the backup next year. That's what you're hoping to see down the stretch. My spit take is like, I get it. We riffed around about this on the pod like a month ago, and it was semi-serious because I just could not conceive Glenn and Muji having the balls to pull this off and Woody giving them the green light to do it. And I just feel better about how they may be able to get their quarterback and their receiver to go with Garrett Wilson. Now looking at all the capital that they have, still remains to be seen, right? When Jamal Adams got traded, people forget, like, he was actually pretty good after he got traded for a couple of years. I think he broke the record for sacks for a defensive back. He had some nice moments before he ultimately kind of flamed out. I think Sauce is going to be great for the Colts. The question is he going to go have 6 interceptions now and win a Super Bowl or something over there? But for the Jets, you can't worry about that, man, because you're not going to really win anything long term, I think, if Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor and Brady Cook are your quarterbacks. So I'm shocked. It was ballsy. I would be lying if I said I wasn't excited about the amount of draft capital and flexibility it has for them. What are your, is this just we're getting a quarterback next year no matter what? We are trading. We are doing some ridiculous trade for a veteran. We are trading up if we need to. And if we don't need to trade up, then we are going to go get the receiver we need to, opposite Garrett Wilson. What does this say to you about what they're thinking about the offseason going forward?
Yeah, I think they're very aware that they need more talent. I think that a lot of what happens is in year one, we talked about this during camp and, with smaller pieces like the defensive line and safety and corner and kicker of you got to go in and kind of evaluate your guys, and see, kind of who's one of your guys, who's not, or who maybe doesn't fit the scheme necessarily. It does feel a lot like this regime is kind of building a flotation device for themselves and letting, if things do go south the next 9 games, and people can tell me that I'm being too negative. I don't think that's negative. I think let's be realistic here, right? They know that you can then go to the owner and say, hey man, we Fields was hurt and not very good. And we traded Sauce, but look at all this draft capital, which I think some people would argue, maybe that's a reason to not keep this regime and be like, hey, thanks for doing the hard work. We'll come in and swoop in and fix it for you. But no, look, I think in a vacuum, again, they traded a corner that has not gotten necessarily better over the last 2 years. Although I think, again, the criticism is way over the top from people that think he's not a good player, doesn't impact winning. He's an all-pro corner, and that's the reality of it. But again, he does not take the football away at the rate where he's going to affect maybe down over down, like kind of variance. Do I think it's a little scary now going into next year? Is like Brandon Stevens is like a solidified corner one? I think we're like,
Yeah,
it's a little crazy. But again, people would argue that, hey, they're 1-7 with Sauce, and they've done a lot of losing with him here. Take the 2 first-round picks. And again, I get it. I think they know they're going to take a quarterback. I think they know they're going to need at least 1, if not 2 receivers. You potentially might need an offensive lineman, right? I think it's the dirty little secret that, like, they don't have their guard and center signed through next year. Yes, they have the foundation of Tittman, Olu, and Membu. Like, there's no question that's awesome. Simpson, AVT, and Myers are all free agents. You probably bring back 2, and you're going to have to probably draft 1 or sign a lower tier veteran like Myers this year. You're going to need probably at least an edge rusher, Joe. You're going to probably need another corner at some point on day 3, or a lower level vet that could be your cornerback 3. You might need 2 safeties. You need at least 1.
Yep.
And you need at least 1 starting linebacker. That's a lot of things. And I think they looked around and said, okay, yeah, we probably could get by with, I don't know, keeping Carter around for the rest of the year, keeping Sauce and just riding it out. And again, they're very different things. I'm just using it as like an example. Like, you could have managed the money and made it work and signed these guys and not created more holes. I just look at it, and maybe this is a hot take, and maybe I'm being emotional about it, which I probably am. You have 2 hours to go here. Now convince me why you're not trading Quinnen for a 1. If there's a 1 on the table, as much as I love Quinnen, if you're just going to really go for it here, and you have a 1 on the table, or I don't know, if you had your own 3 back from the Eagles, which we don't know, I'm just saying, if you had that back, or Saleh calls you and says, hey man, we'll give up a 2 for Jermaine because Michael and Bosa are out for the year with ACLs. I'm not encouraging doing it, but it kind of is weirder now to say, like, hey, we already traded Sauce. Like, do we just kind of gut this defense, get as much capital as we humanly can? We build the defense around, just a fully revamped unit with a new DC next year. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying it does make you think, like, this point, like, is Jermaine now in your window or is he not? Is Quinnen in your window or is he not? Quincy, I don't know. You just ate Sauce's early extension. Is there any way to get out of Sherwood and say, hey, we'll attach our 4 to move back in around 6 and just totally gut that money? I don't know. I guess I'm kind of working through it as we're talking here. It just does make you think, are they just going to gut this defense the next 2 hours and say, accumulate a fuck ton of draft capital? We are going to have 14 picks. We're going to have 5 top 50 picks. And like, that's how we're going to ride out and convince everybody next year will be the fun, hopefully better 2021 Jets.
Yeah, I don't think anything can be written off now, right? Even if they don't do something today, when they get into the offseason, I think everyone could very well be available. And that includes a guy like Sherwood, who they just paid now. I think many fans at this stage would be like, yeah, trade him, take whatever you can get back, maybe reallocate that money to Quincy and, find a way to keep Quinnen happy. But everyone from Quinnen, Jermaine on down, or even if it doesn't happen in the next 2 hours, it's something you have to monitor going into the offseason as they kind of furiously continue to look for different ways to give themselves flexibility. And, it'll be interesting to see how it's received around the locker room and around the organization. But again, you're seeing a very keen focus on bringing in our guys and our style of play, for better or worse. And we don't know whether that's going to work out or not. We do know they are coming after a lot of losing. And you start to look at some of the different people running around, Phillips and Briggs and Brownlee, and now they also added Mechie back in this trade. And, they added Myers in this offseason and Stevens and their draft class and how it's working out with Membu and Taylor and to an extent Thomas and Moore so far. It's more and more each passing week where it's like, all right, this isn't the Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas Jets. And that doesn't mean that there won't be a spot maybe for a Jermaine or for Garrett Wilson going forward, or some of the guys who are holdovers like Olu. But this is one of the more shocking moves they made. Not that the Jets have made big trades in the past, right?
Just by the way, sorry, I keep cutting you off, but things are evolving here. We're working through it.
Yeah, real time.
Teams have been calling the Jets continuously, to quote him directly, teams continue to call the Jets about Jermaine Johnson per sources. Offers have included a second-round pick. I'm not trying to be that guy. I love Jermaine, and I'm not trying to be an anti-Jermaine thing. He's in my goddamn intro on my podcast. I'm not, like, trading him. But if you told me the Jets, Joe, had 2 1s, 2 2s off the bat, and you're replacing Sauce and Jermaine, yeah, it'd be really shocking. It would. I will say, like, the Sauce, Jermaine, Brees trio of how much they tweet and how Brees has now tweeted 9 times, Jermaine's tweeted 6 gifts in the last hour. Like, I get it. But I don't know. I do wonder, like, to your point, if someone has a 2 on the table for Jermaine, and I've said a 2 and a 4, and I didn't make that up out of thin air, like, that's a lot of draft capital for a guy who is coming off an Achilles. You're going to have to extend, and if you're not going to pay him, I'm not pushing to trade Jermaine. I love the culture. I love how tough he is against the run. He's a guy you want to build around. But if you're not going to build around him, now's the time to move him, right? It's like, what if he gets hurt again the rest of the year? Then his value sucks. You have question marks going into next year. There's just a lot. This is one of those pods where I feel like I'm talking myself in a circle because they're evolving. I'm like,
I mean, look, this is legitimately like shocking news, right? I think there was probably like, if you asked any Jet fan at the start of the year, what are the odds that Sauce Gardner will get traded this year after that contract? I think any reasonable person would have said 3% or less. I don't know, 5% or less, even if you were ambitious with it. And I think you have to consider every offer. And what I'm trying to do in my head, because yes, on the surface, getting a 2 and a 4 back for Jermaine with his injury history, his age, which sounds silly, but he was an older prospect, and his production to date, in many ways, could be good business. Now, the other end of it, why they might not do this,
replace him.
Yeah, his tweeting habits aside, is I wonder, and this is me trying to put my mind into the building right now, do they look at Jermaine as a certain type of player? He plays a certain way. He's physical. He can play against the run. He brings a different kind of energy. You can see the difference when he's out there opposite McDonald compared to Clemens or McGregor. And he's just a different style of player than Sauce. Like, Jermaine is someone you feel like will be a captain, can tackle, can be physical. Sauce, I thought it was kind of notable. Garrett Sauce signed new contracts. Garrett's a captain. Like, Marcelino McCrary Ball is a captain before Sauce is, like, kind of interesting. Caught my eye. I'm not saying it means anything, but they even asked Sauce about it after, and it was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And I wonder if in the building they're like, Jermaine is our as I'm saying this, they literally could be trading him. Jermaine is our type of player, and Sauce really isn't. You know, he's good, and we looked at him for a long time now that we paid him, but actually, shit, this Stevens thing is like starting to work out. And Azaria Thomas, look, outside of one play, looked good against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And if he looks good against them, maybe he looks good against everybody. And Aaron Glenn, I'm sure, has a little like look.
Whoa. Jets just trade Quinnen. Cowboys.
Oh, my God.
Holy fuck.
What was it? 4.
First round pick. 3 1s, Joe.
This year? A first this year?
Holy shit.
Okay.
Blockbuster. Cowboys are trading Quinnen Williams. Sorry, Jets are trading Quinnen Williams to the Jets for a first round pick and more.
Well, this is why we keep recording. I will keep talking while you keep digging up the details. So the double emergency podcast, first in Badlands history. It's a good thing we're also recording tonight. My God, by the time we record tonight, there could be 5 more trades to do. Not shocking, sad in the volume of what we've just been in, like the context of what we've been discussing.
Dude, what do we do? What is going on?
What else? Is there more compensation beyond the first round pick?
It says and more, yeah.
Okay, so maybe there's some day 3 stuff thrown in there, maybe another player. So that will mean the Jets will have 3 first-round picks for draft lands this offseason to work with. 2.
We're going to have 1,000 people at the Badlands pre-draft show.
We might have to – where's the draft this year in Pittsburgh? We might have to move there for like 2 weeks.
We might. This is nuts.
Get the Airbnb. I mean, I think to the point that you said earlier, right? If you're doing it, do it. And like go all the way through with it. Now, Quinnen's gone.
The Packers first. Interesting.
Yeah, Quinnen gone. I can't imagine that means Quincy's overly long for this world here. Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe I'm wrong. And now up front, all right, you got Phillips, you got Briggs. All of a sudden, you get a little light fast, but that's not why you're doing this, because now you have the ability to kind of own the draft and effectively do whatever you want. And different. I mean, Quinnen's been here longer. We love Quinnen, and we've kind of like talked about him in the way like you kind of feel bad, and you're like, can he move on and get to a better situation? and like get a chance to win. I don't know if Dallas is going to be that chance to win after what I saw last night. I could be wrong. But that is, you again, ballsy, the adjective that comes to mind, right? And saying we tried this for a long time with Quinnen and Sauce, and it didn't work. And now we're trying something different, and maybe it won't work, but we're not going to keep doing the same thing. Hard way to see Quinnen go out, though. In the back half of the Sauce Emergency podcast, Dallas, that first round pick, now that should be meaningfully higher than the first round pick you get back for the Colts, especially if things go south quick coming out of that game last night.
Oh, it's the Cowboys first.
Yes. Yeah.
No, but like they have the 2-1s, remember?
Okay. Oh, that's right. Jesus. There's too many trades in the NFL.
All right. Well,
so
the Cowboys, the Jets right now, Joe, we'll just do
bring up the state. So we're picking 3, 14, and 25 right now, 28.
So right now the Jets would have pick 3. They'd have pick 14.
Okay.
And they'd have Indy's right now is the best record in the NFL. So it's not like
quarterback, receiver, offensive lineman, quarterback, receiver, defensive lineman. I'm
still waiting to see if there's anything additional.
I'm sure there will be more details that leak through.
But like, it does make you. I know we're flying this plane as we're building it. Okay, at this point, again, I'm not trying to harp on Jermaine. Take the second round pick, right? Like at this point, you're really just blowing it up, and it kind of feels like. Do you just?
I mean, this is what 2 of your 4 best players, right?
Yeah,
objectively,
they just traded their two most accomplished players. I would say they traded. Yeah. Right, I think we think Garrett's got the highest ceiling, but Quinnen's. I'll just say this about Quinnen. I know you'll touch on it later, and I'm sure I'll do another pod of like kind of once we take a breath here. The hardest part about Quinnen was like he's a Ring of Honor potential guy, and I still think he might be because you look at it and it's like he's on the cusp. I did over the summer. I was like, who's the next guy? And he was the obvious choice. He might not get quite there, but he'll be a guy that like comes back.
Remembered well. Certainly going to be remembered extremely well.
He's been through a lot of shit. 4 defensive coordinators, 3 head coaches, 3 GMs, which is insane. I do wonder if, I don't know this for sure, and I'll ask about it, but I wonder if Quinnen was like, if you're going to start moving people, like, and you have a one on the table, send me somewhere good. I do think also, which is the crazy thing here is like, in hindsight, do you take the Parsons deal now looking back?
How do you feel that Parsons has looked this year?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Like, I just meant more of like, looking back, you could have had Parsons, but again, would the Jets be trading multiple ones for an edge rusher? Did that fit their timeline? But I don't know. It's crazy. Like
this is one of the
obviously gone, right?
Yeah. I'm curious. I mean, I'd be shocked if he was here post 4 o'clock, and if it's not that, then he won't be back next year. I mean, in terms of just transactions, one of the 3 craziest days in Jets history, considering the players involved. Maybe number 1, honestly, if you're just, you could talk about the Favre trade, the Rodgers trade, but to have 2 guys and to have 3 first-round picks. I mean, we're getting near the Pennington draft territory where they had 4 first-round picks. And listen, Aaron Glenn was part of the Jets turning it around. Now, this was a little later stage in his career, but how did the Jets catalyze being good for a decade plus? After the early Parcells run, they had a draft with 4 first-round picks, and they also layered on guys like Coles and Cotchery in the middle rounds. But Pennington, Abraham, Ellis, to a lesser extent, our guy Becht, and they kind of built off that draft, and it was a good team for a while. Now, they're not that far removed from a draft where they effectively had 4 first-round picks, right? Brees was high enough in the second where it felt like 4, and you've kind of given it a go-around, and unfortunately, thanks to Zach Wilson and many other things in the turf at MetLife, it didn't work. So it is shocking, although less shocking now that after Sauce moved, they would follow through with the next step of trading Quinnen. I mean, this draft capital and this draft class in particular is just fascinating because of how open quarterback still is. And, the reality, again, is that I think people are probably prematurely panicking about the Jets falling too far down the draft standings where, they're 1-7.
The Jets clearly weren't.
Now they don't have Sauce. They don't have Quinnen. Like, I think best case scenario, even if they play scrappy down the stretch, they're picking like 7th or 8th. And if they need to move up, they certainly have the means to do so. And if they end up picking 3rd or 4th, like, you may have your pick anyway because the Titans aren't taking a quarterback and they're ahead of you. And now you're going to have a pick in the middle of the first round, thanks to Dallas, which, man, there's some exciting receivers there. I mean, I know that's not the only position to look at with Quinnen gone now. And then you're still at the back half of the first round. So it's Glenn and Muji going for it. It's Aaron Glenn saying one and done stuff is hysterical. Like you don't let Aaron Glenn make these moves unless he's going to be your head coach for the foreseeable future. Because Woody Johnson doesn't just sell like this. Now he's getting older.
Seems like Quinnen, Zach, friend of the pod, obviously, he just tweeted Quinnen Williams being traded to the Cowboys. I was told in recent weeks by multiple sources Williams was unhappy with the direction of the team and told people close to him he did want to be, in fact, be traded. He even as that started to spread around the league, the Jets insisted they would not trade him. So exactly what you and Connor said, I think we all kind of meant, reiterated it in some form or fashion. Like, don't trade Q unless you get blown out of the water with an offer. And B, like he wants out, almost like you wanted him to break up with you, not be the asshole to break up with him. Yeah. And I don't know. Q was a really, really good Jet. I'm sure there'll be people in the fan base that were mad about Sauce and Q and their tenure here. But like, I don't know. I feel like it's a big return, especially if that Cowboys pick, like, unless they turn it around, Joe, that's a top 15 pick for Quinnen, who, first of all, they're going to have a gazillion dollars in cap space now.
I know. That's the other thing here. Like the books, especially with all the moves they've made recently, even inclusive of Carter, like they're going to have, I don't know, top 5, top 4 in cap space in the NFL and 3 first-round picks. Like it is true. This was year 0. Next year is our team with our players and our spending going forward. And I mean, look, I'll say this. They didn't sell low on these guys, right? Getting a top 15 pick for Quinnen right now. And we've been mildly critical, I think, when appropriate. Like, it's not like it's been Quinnen's best 8 games, right? Or the best year and a half he's had. He hasn't been at 2022 Quinnen. I think he could get there in the right situation. Like, he's very, very damn good. But to get a top 15 pick for him right now, if you look at what you saw through the first 8 games, that's not bad value. And this is me, again, speaking strictly from a value standpoint. And it's the same with Sauce to get 2 first-rounders for him. Like, I don't know if that's terrible value. Now, of course, can these guys draft? Can you find guys who play to the level of Quinnen and Sauce at some point? Or do you say, look, we're going to be a bad defense. We're already a bad defense. And we can just find a way to make it work with Stevens and Thomas and Briggs and Phillips, and we get piece it together with other guys, and we're going to coach our guys up, right? I'm Aaron Glenn. I don't need the $200 million cornerback or whatever Sauce is being paid. I'm going to make it work with Brownlee and Stevens and Thomas, and up front, we're seeing it work with Phillips and Briggs, and we could go do some other similar moves, and let's go draft our guys and redo it in the way we did, dare I say, in Detroit, or we've seen other places do it. So a cataclysmic day in Jets history.
I feel like we have to just keep recording until someone else gets traded at this point. I would say, Joe, I don't know. Like, I wonder if you're the Cowboys, they're probably thinking, hey, in a vacuum, we got Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, and a 1 for Micah, and we cleared our books. And Dan scared me. Dan just oh boy, that's frustrating.
What?
It looks like the first rounder is 2027's first rounder.
Oh man.
Ugh.
That's a bummer.
That was a real boner killer there. That's brutal. Where are we? This is hard to keep up, man.
Real time. I mean, look, that doesn't mean that.
Oh, interesting.
That doesn't mean you can't.
Did they get a 2 also?
You can't use that asset and potentially moving up, right? But yes, that's a bit of a.
That to me feels like then it's maybe like. Did they maybe acquire? Someone just said it's a second in this draft in a 2027. I don't know. This is like, because I wonder to me if they're acquiring multiple ones in 2027, is that them saying, hey, if we fall out of the QB for some, I don't know, we finished 3 and 14. Oh, they got a 2026 second and a 2027 first.
Okay, that makes it feel a little better, right? I mean, that's not a throw in, right? To get
I mean that's a top. They now have 2 1s, 2 2s this year, 2 1s, 2 2s next year, right? No, 3 1s next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so 2 1s this year, 2 2s,
2 2s this year,
3 1s next year, and a 2. And again, you have the assets. That doesn't mean you can't use one of those 2027 first to move up if you want to. And having 2 2s this year gives you an immense amount of flex. I mean, look, to get a 1 and a 2 for him, that doesn't change what I just said about getting the value back, right? Like that's a serious haul for a guy who, how many double-digit sacks does Quinnen have in his career? 1? Like, that's not.
Yeah, he's the one, right? All right, Jets have 2 1s this year, 2 2s this year, 3 1s next year, and a 2 next year, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So totally owning the draft the next 2 years. This is real time potting.
I guess we can wrap with this and
Yes.
a lot more, but all in all, this is a clear sign of like, hey, these guys are not in our window, or they are in our window, but the offers are too good to pass up. It feels like Q both said, I'm good here, and getting a 2 and a 1 for Q, or 1 and a 2 for Q is a lot. They were going to have to repay him. And again, he's been an awesome Jet, but it probably was kind of doing right by the player, sent them somewhere good. On top of that, obviously good capital. When it comes to Sauce, it feels like that was purely the offer was just too good to pass up, and we need to just build the heck out of the rest of the roster. And for the money plus the picks, it's worth more than what you are to us, and that's probably what they came to a conclusion on. Again, it obviously likes. And the Jets got Mozzie Smith, who sucks, but whatever. That's irrelevant. That's a classic. The Jets Muji's doing he loves a nice throw-in. Loves a
throw-in. The king of the throw-in.
Loves a big name player who stinks. But yeah, no, I guess end of the day, like, this is a pretty monumental day, as you mentioned. Like, outside of that 2000 draft, the Sauce trade to me, Joe, feels very much like Keyshawn.
Yeah.
Where it's like star player.
Yep, big personality.
Not really as much of a fan favorite as his production probably indicated. A little noisy. A guy they took in the top 4, obviously. And then like they get this huge haul that they could build. They built basically 2000 through 2011 off the backs of a lot of that draft. Second rounder, and then so again, the official terms for Q, because it finally came out, 2026 2, 2027 1, and Mozzie Smith for Q. The Cowboys are going to redo his contract, which
good luck, Dallas.
Okay. Yeah, good luck. I don't know where I just don't even know what you're supposed to do, but at this point I'll be pretty shocked if you and Connor are not doing your pod, and I'm sure I'll do one right at 4 or whatever, that is going to be, hey, the Jets also
2 more trades. It's a great day for like 5 pods on the feed.
Yeah, like seriously, are you not calling San Francisco and saying, "Can you take Michael Clemens and we'll swap 6-round picks?" Oh. And it's like, or just something that's like, "Hey, we are really starting over," because at this point, outside of the tackles, Tippmann, Mason Taylor, obviously Garrett, on defense, is there anybody? It's like, shouldn't you just really be like, anybody's available for a price, because we just traded our two of our 3 franchise guys, the yearbook guys. So yeah, I don't know. This is what a day. This is very overwhelming. I thought we were going to get a couple guys out, couple guys in. I was kind of bullish on one of Jermaine or Q, but I didn't see Sauce and Q being the first 2 big moves of the Glenn era. Wow. This is what a day.
Well, thank everyone for listening. As Will just said, we will be back on the feed shortly. Will this afternoon, me and Connor tonight. Me and Connor also with Dan Hansis later. So more to come. What a day of emergency pods. Thank you, everyone.